Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for May 1st, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. We're going to hit the NBA card hard today. But first, let's introduce Teddy Savransky. Once again, give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Right Side VP. Big night last night, Teddy, on the hard court. We saw the Warriors take down a victory. Spread was in doubt right up to the end. But I think the bigger picture that was actually answered is the refs didn't play a huge part in this game. Hallelujah. We can move on with our life now. But the Warriors were impressive last night, taking a 2-0 lead over the Rockets as the series now heads back to Houston.
Yeah, and I mean, tons to talk about from this ballgame. Let's start with the point spread and total drama right at the end. Warriors have a 9-point lead with Durant at the line. There's 11 seconds left. There's no point spread drama here, except for that. There's no total drama either. The game's going to stay under. But then, three-pointer, turnover, bucket, cuts the lead to 4. 2 Durant free throws equals Golden State and over. That was an intense sequence over the last 11 seconds. Whether you had side, whether you had total, there was lots of this going on. And as you mentioned, Houston whistled for 21 fouls. Golden State whistled for 23. The biggest issues for the game, in my mind, twofold. One, the Rockets made a bunch of mistakes early. Turnovers in the first quarter led them to a deficit they did not erase for the entirety of the ballgame. They were playing from behind because of those first quarter miscues. The other issue that's been a problem, a big problem for Houston this series, Clint Capella is getting outplayed by Draymond Green, and that's not a matchup the Rockets can afford to lose. So both the first 2 games of this series come down to the very final shot possession, whatever you want to call it. Warriors get one cover, Rockets get the other, but Golden State gets the money last night.
Also taking a look at that game, Teddy, James Harden, forget about getting fouled, gets the double eye poke there, misses about, like 8, 9, 10 minutes of game time. Didn't matter last night, it seems like. He came back, gets 29 points, but we'll see if that affects him moving forward, saying he was real, light sensitive, and his eyelid was cut and bleeding, and they were trying to get the drops in, but he's going to have a couple days off to relax. Teddy, also, if we take a look at an early opening line here, Houston opening at -4 for Game 3 on Saturday, that albeit must-winner. Are you going to take a lot of this into it? Because I know when you head back, you can't go 0-3. We know that. James Harden is a little bit banged up, but I think you're probably going to get that A game from Houston on their home court. A nice win from Golden State here. Looking forward in the series, Teddy. We'll take a look a little bit later in our off the mic section, but looks pretty good for Golden State Warriors. But do you take any effect there, maybe jumping a line or saying, Harden's going to be fine for Game 3 here?
Well, certainly the markets are saying that Golden State deserves to be the biggest favorites of any of the 4 playoff series currently going. Obviously, one of them is a 1-0 series. The other 2 are tied at 1-1. So it's not surprised to see the Warriors getting that type of love from the betting markets. But when you see Golden State at -$5 and higher for the series price, it certainly stands out in that regard. Houston's got their work cut out for them. But as you mentioned, the markets are expecting the zig or the zag as the series shifts to Houston. It's certainly not like the Warriors are a team that has had a lot of problems winning road games this postseason or postseasons past. That being said, it's put up or shut up time for Houston. If they don't win their must-win on Saturday, obviously the series is over.
Putting up and shutting up, Teddy, zigging and zagging. That's exactly what he got in this Bucks series after an easy win by the Celtics in Game 1. They got their favorite return back to them with an easy Bucks winner in Game 2. But although you watch that first quarter, maybe if you're looking at your ticket going, man, I can't even believe they hung a +7.5. That's going to be free money again tonight. Not so fast. Huge third quarter by the Bucks last night. Really showed their merit being the number 1 overall team in the NBA record-wise. They're going to now head back to Boston. Giannis goes for 29 and 10 in that game. Middleton backs him up. 7 of 10 from three-point range. Outside of that first quarter, the Bucks said, nope, we're the top seed. We're going to take control. That series also heads back 1-1 to Boston, Teddy.
You're not kidding about a huge run. So I'm upstairs. The wife calls me, hey, dinner's ready. All right. I go wash my hands, go to the bathroom, go downstairs. When I leave upstairs with TV on there, it's a 4-point game. When I get downstairs with like a 20-point game, the game was over. 24-2 run in the third. It was garbage time. And it happened like that, lickety split for Milwaukee. We talked about it yesterday, that it wasn't Giannis. Giannis is the guy who's going to get all the pub, but the role, not even the role players, the second-tier stars for Milwaukee have to step up as well as their superstar. And what did we see yesterday? Chris Middleton playing like the all-star that he was. Eric Bledsoe with a huge game. Brook Lopez playing well. That trio combining 59 points, 14 boards, 7 assists. That'll get it done for Milwaukee. They need more than just Giannis. And obviously last night, coming off a loss. Bucks have been real good off a loss all year. They were real good off a loss in game number 2.
Going back to Boston, as we said, Teddy, the Celtics open up as an early favorite here, -1.5, -2, depending on where you're shopping at SBRodds.com. If we take a look at that series now shifting back, because, again, we're going to take a look a little bit deeper into these odd series, but still, it's kind of interesting. It's a 1-1 split now, Teddy. Going back as the home court is going to be with the Boston Celtics. They're actually favored in game 3, but catching the plus money to win the actual series in this one. And it also played out the way that many would think, where you have that must-win type of situation for Milwaukee at home. The Boston Celtics on the road saying, you know what, we just got to steal one of these first 2 games and we'll be good. And it looks like it played out that way. I'm looking forward to that next game 3, Teddy, back in Boston.
Oh, yeah, game 3. I mean, game 3 and game 4 in every one of these series should be a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to talk about. But certainly we talk about the series price. Boston did what they wanted to do. They split Milwaukee. Milwaukee, in theory, would have, as many as 3 chances to win one in Boston. They're going to have to return the favor. And the markets think they will return the favor. That's why there's still chalk in the series price.
Big man goes over 3,000 Ks for his career. CeCe Sabathia last night on Tuesday night playing the Arizona Diamondbacks. Interesting part about this game, yes, CeCe does reach that level, only the 3rd left-handed pitcher to get to that plateau. But Greinke sort of overshadowed the night, going over 7 innings, giving up 1 earned run. And we talked about it yesterday on the show, Teddy. When that dome is open out there in Arizona, you let the heat, the humidity, and the ball carries. Both of these pitchers did a very good job last night in the 3-1 game.
Yeah, pitchers duel throughout. Greinke got into trouble in the 4th. That was really the only inning that he faced serious concern. He was actually lucky to get out of that inning with the score tied. But a nice play in left field. Saved a couple of runs with 2 outs in the 4th, but we got to talk CeCe. I mean, I know they lost. I know the Yankees lineup didn't get the job done for him last night. Hey, when you're facing Greinke and he's on, what are you going to do? But 3,000 strikeouts is meaningful. 16 players have done that in 143 years. CeCe, you're a Hall of Famer. Well done, even though you didn't get the job done for your backers with the Yankees, the plus price last night.
He always gained a lot of respect for CeCe back in the day, Teddy, when he was traded to the Milwaukee Brewers and damn near felt like he was pitching every other night and willing that team into the playoffs. One of the ultimate iron horses. And look, he looks like he's a really good bowler out there and set up for retirement with his body, but the man just keeps on kicking, so a lot of respect for the lefty out there on the mound. Overnight line movers, Teddy. These lines are moving all the time, especially in Major League Baseball. Do your part and go to SBRodds.com to get those latest line changes all throughout the night, 24/7, 365. Phillies need a bounce back tonight, Teddy, on a Wednesday. Get hammered last night, 3-1. And when I talk about hammered, they didn't bring anything to the plate with them. And it looks like a common theme throughout the summer here that's going to play out in Philadelphia, Teddy. Bryce Harper and the booze rain down. But he's being a good sport about it, saying, look, we got to improve. We got to get better. Taking a look tonight, Nola opens up at -190 and quickly climbs to around -220 with a total of 8. Nola versus Norris tonight at Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, and the markets are saying Aaron Nola's back, even though his ERA is 5.68 on the season. But after some early season struggles, last time out, he was pretty good. 7 hits, 1 run allowed in 6.2 thirds. He threw first pitch strikes 17 times in that ball game. Quote, that's always something you try to work on. You want to try to get ahead of guys. It makes it much easier when you get first pitch strikes, no matter who it is. Worth noting, the Phillies bullpen behind him got all used up last night after Velasquez's short start. They had 5 different guys come out of the bullpen here, and the markets are saying this is a Nola shutdown spot. He knows he's got to eat up innings here with the bullpen gas behind him. The markets expecting a strong effort from Nola this evening.
Teddy, some people try to look and, you bet and say, hey, man, I know Kluber, Cy Young winner. I don't know who this Caleb Smith guy is, but I know the Marlins are really bad, but not so fast in this pitching matchup. The Indians open up about 165 on SBRodds.com, quickly drop into that 130s range. It's going to be Kluber versus Smith, and we take a look at some numbers, Teddy. If you haven't heard of Caleb Smith, I mean, obviously a lot of people aren't watching Marlins baseball, but the kid's pretty good, especially at home. Take a look at his xFIP split between lefties and righties at home, Teddy. 202 and 269. Pitching very well going up against Kluber. I agree with this line move here on Wednesday.
And what did we talk about last week when Caleb Smith pitched? Remember, the money had come on Smith the 3 previous times he was on the hill. And last time, the markets thought that the lines makers adjusted too much for Caleb Smith. The money came against him. He pitched another gem. Lo and behold, this time around, we're seeing the Caleb Smith money. The markets and the odds makers, the bettors haven't been on the same page with this guy. He's clearly someone that is attracting betting market attention. The Marlins have won each of his last 3 starts. He's allowed just 2 runs in 18 innings during that span, striking out 22 batters. And meanwhile, Corey Kluber's been getting hit hard. 2 quality starts in 6 tries, 13 runs his last 14.2 innings. Quote after last time out from Terry Francona, well, he gave us the chance to win. His stuff played up a little bit. Corey Kluber says mechanics are out of whack. That's the type of thing that will likely attract attention in the betting markets. No surprise, Miami's getting the money in this one.
Yeah, looking at a low total too, Teddy, 6.5. I mean, they're playing in a huge cavernous ballpark. But last night, let's not forget the Miami Marlins also got after Bauer last night for a couple runs. We'll see if they can do it tonight against Kluber. Game 3, we'll take a look at total on the rise in Seattle. No surprise here, Teddy. Cubs and Seattle Mariners hot at the plate early to start the season. Lester versus Gonzalez, 2 lefties on the mound tonight. Mariners catching a little bit of a underdog role, plus 103, but the total, as we said, rose from 8.5 to 9.
The markets do not trust John Lester. I'll tell you flat out. And Lester pitched well his first start back the DL against the Dodgers last time out. 1 run, 4 hits, 5 innings, no walks. 5 Ks. Joe Madden, I thought he looked really good for being out as long as he's been. I thought the velocity was there. I thought the finish on the pitches was there. The off-speed stuff was there. He pitched really well. All that being said, you look at the advanced metrics for John Lester last year and this year. If you watched him pitch, man, they're hitting a lot of balls hard against him. And he's been lucky in that most of those balls have been going at somebody as opposed to going into the seats 400 feet away. The markets don't trust Lester. The markets don't trust Gonzalez either. A guy whose early season start has been very impressive. The advanced metric stats say he's due for a correction. The market's expecting another high-scoring affair, just like last night's game that flew over the total.
For those West Coast audience out there, it's going to be a 340 start for Lester and Gonzalez, so keep that in mind. Also, segment number 3, watch what you bet here on Wednesday. The NBA playoffs do continue, and the Nuggets look to take a 2-0 series lead on the Trailblazers. Line currently sitting at -4. Total of 219.5. Money line split plus 155, -175. Trailblazers are 48-40 against the number on the season. However, 11-18 against the number as a road dog. But overall on the road, Teddy, 22-22. Nuggets are 46-44 against the number on the season. 34-29 against the spread as a favorite, getting it together in Denver tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, here's a quote from Game 1 from Michael Malone, Nuggets head coach. Neither team could stop one another. I keep telling our guys, once we get into our defense, and once we get our defense into the game, we're going to be okay. The first team that actually gets defense into the game will be the team that wins. Well, neither team did anything defensively. But when you say which squad do you trust to bring it and make the adjustments on the defensive end, I certainly trust the Nuggets at this stage of the campaign more than I trust the Blazers for a number of reasons. 1, I like Mike Malone. 2, Denver's shown that defensive acumen far more than Portland has, both in the postseason and in the regular season. 3, Enes Kanter's not a defensive stud. He's not. And there's not much that Terry Stotts is going to do to change that. Now, Kanter had a huge game in Game 1. They got production off the bench from Rodney Hood. They got a huge game from both of their backcourt stars, and it still wasn't enough because the defensive stops weren't there. I don't know if they're going to be there tonight for the Blazers either. Here's a quote from Jokic, quote, I can read everything. I just need to know what they're doing, and I'm capable of reading the defense. He was certainly the star in game number 1. The quote from Lillard about him, you're not going to completely take him out, but you have to make things difficult for him. We've got to make him see bodies. We got to be physical. We got to be ready to help on the post and get back to our man. We've also got to make sure when he's putting up shots, we're keeping him off the glass. He's one of the best at shooting the ball and following his shot and getting a second attempt. All of that is great in theory. The practice, Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum have to lead Portland. And if that duo goes nuts, the Blazers are live. If they don't, Denver's the better team. Denver won and covered Game 1. I don't know that I'm necessarily in any hurry to step in front of the Nuggets in Game number 2, especially with Portland having those turnover issues in Game 1. That's a problem for the Blazers. They're going to have to solve if they're going to pull the upset in the Game 2 tonight.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because sometimes this series gets a little bit of a backseat there, Teddy. But the money still spends the same when you win, whether it's total side or whatever you have choice with the game that's going to take place tonight. Astros and Twins We're going to flip this over to Major League Baseball. If you took a look last night, Teddy, we talked about it. Caracol's been sensational. He goes on the mound last night, Teddy, 7 innings, 1 hit on the road versus the Twins, who in offense had been playing very well over the month of April. 11-0 shutout, 15 hits to 3. If we take a look at the game tonight, Twins are favored minus. Do I have this right here? Let me just double check here while we got this going on. Perez, I'm sorry. The Houston squad, the Astros obviously, opened up at 148, 153. I have it written up wrong here on my screen. It's minus 140 in the favor of the Astros with a total of 9. McHugh and Perez on the mound tonight. Astros coming in 18-12. Twins 17-10. 8 o'clock tonight, ESPN. How about this game, Teddy? Who we picking?
You weren't kidding about the Astros lineup. They're capable of putting up runs in bunches. Certainly they hit last night. Again, Cole throws a 1-hit shutout for 7 innings. Minnesota doesn't get on the board, and the game still goes over the total because Houston went nuts. And that's what the Astros are capable of doing in any given game. Of course, with McHugh on the hill, you have to be concerned about the Astros pitching here. He's not been real good, you know. He's not his track record against Minnesota isn't particularly good. His last 2 outings have been a little bit rough against Texas and against Cleveland. His quote, "The results speak for themselves. You give up homers, and it's hard to win games." That is all true. All that being said, you know, when we look at these 2 lineups, Houston is capable of absolutely crushing anybody. That's what they do. Sure, they had just 5 singles on Monday in that 1-0 loss. Yesterday, 15 hits, 3 different guys go yard. You know, and it was cold and nasty yesterday. It's supposed to be a little bit nicer today. Quote, "It's fun." This is George Springer talking about the offensive production. I think every guy kind of feeds off each other, kind of like the old school saying that hitting is contagious. It showed tonight. You know, Rocco Baldelli. This quote I don't like for Minnesota tonight, flat out. Talking about the month of May or the month of April and the hot start the Twins have gotten off to. Quote, "It was a good month for us. The guys collectively swung the bats very well. Our quality at-bats were good. It's just maintaining, and it's difficult to do. As long as we have these type of at-bats, we're going to be very happy." I don't want that fat and happy at the end of April. Houston or pass for this better.
Final game of our triple header here on Watch What You Bet. Late night action in Los Angeles tonight. The Blue Jays on the road versus the Angels. Angels favored minus 114, total of 8.5. Going to get underway at 10:07 Eastern, 7:07 Pacific. MLB extra innings. You can pick this game up on live from LA. Blue Jays come in 14-15. Angels 13-17. But Stroman has been really good on the season, Teddy. Just looking at his overall ERA, a 1.43. If we back up to last night, Goodwin hit an 8th inning blast to give the victory to the Los Angeles Angels. We'll see if Toronto can return that favor. But Stroman, pitching like the ace we always thought he might be so far to start the season.
Sure. And I mean, he's shown a lot of signs. And, you know, I mean, you read the quotes from Stroman talking about Vladdy Guerrero and the impacts he's had in that Blue Jays locker room. You don't often see a rookie come in and impact a locker room the way the Guerrero has done that. But this was a lifeless team, and they're not lifeless right now. Stroman's quote, I was probably just excited as the entire fan base to be with you, getting Vladdy up here. It's like having Zion Williamson on your team. It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of talent. Just to have the opportunity to play with him is amazing. To look out there and see him behind me at third base, I think it's going to give us a huge mental edge. So now they're coming off a loss, and they had 2 walk-off wins over the weekend. That suffer a late inning loss last night. Maybe a little bit of a splash of cold water in their face. They're going against Felix Pena. Pena's, he's been okay. The last time out, he came in the second inning after Cam Bajosian pitched the first inning as the opener. Pena's advanced metrics are mediocre. We're not talking about a guy who's looking like an ace right now. We are, however, talking about an Angels team that's hitting the ball a little bit better. And certainly when you talk about Stroman, he's got a bad track record against Mike Trout. He's got a bad track record against Albert Pujols. And, of course, Andrelton Simmons is red hot right now, hitting like 369 over the last 15 games. So all of a sudden, this is an Angels offense that's showing signs of life. I leaned Toronto here, but I did not pull the trigger.
Off the mic segment today, Teddy, we're going to deal with value and who has it here in the NBA playoffs round 2. If we take a look at 2 of the series in particular, the Sixers tied up at 1 with the Toronto Raptors, now moving back to Philadelphia. Same thing with the Boston Celtics, Teddy, tied up at 1 with the Milwaukee Bucks, now moving back to Boston. Both of these teams theoretically now have secured home court for themselves. Can they keep it is the big question. But taking a look, if you're looking at the Sixers, Teddy, now moving back to Game 3, a plus 150 to win that series. Then the Boston Celtics, a plus 155 to win the series. series. You can take out that top. Look, Rockets are favored, as we said early in the show, -3, -4, once that game moves back to Houston in game 3 as a plus 500. Any one of these 4 series here, Teddy, where you might take a flyer and say, you know what, that plus money might be worth it in the long run.
You know, the one team that stands out to me out of the 4 would be Philadelphia. I mean, really, when you look, it's a twofold situation. One, this is a Raptors team that, I know that they've shown signs that maybe this year's team is different. They've also shown signs that this year's team is the same. It's the same core group. I thought their bench would be better, and it hasn't been better. And if they don't have the bench edge, they don't have the star power edge, what edges did Toronto have? So, and we look at Philly and that star power. The fact they won game 2 with Embiid being largely a non-factor in that contest, that's a good thing for Philly moving forward. A little bit extra rest, a good thing for Philly moving forward. I think they're live in the series at plus 150. They'd be the one dog out of the 4 that I think is most likely be able to escape with a victory in this series.
One game tonight, Ted, in the NBA. One game on Thursday night. Doubleheader on Friday night. We'll get it all wrapped up there for you right here on SportsbookReview.com's That Betting Show. Well, thank you for tuning in today. It's May Day, Teddy, May 1st, 2019. Your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Svaransky. Once again, give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side BP. Cash those tickets. We'll be back tomorrow to cover everything that went down and move forward throughout the weekend. Thanks for tuning in, folks.